Ladies and gentlemen, if we could please rise for the Superintendent of the United States Military Academy, Colonel Monaco and his family, Colonel Cogan and his family, and please remain standing for the national anthem and the invocation. Deacon Tony Ferriola will give the invocation for us this morning. Afternoon.
Let us pray. Father, we gather in your presence this afternoon to ask for your blessing on Colonel Frank Monaco and his family. Like the prophet Samuel, Frank Monaco's response to God has been, "Here I am." And he has been present as a Christian father to his family, as well as a Christian leader in his work. His faith and the many gifts that God has given him because of that faith has resulted in a successful life and career. He epitomizes the bedrock value of consideration of others. We know from his life and example that, as in the parable of the silver pieces, you would respond to Frank's life with the words, "Well done, good and faithful servant." And so, Father, as Frank Monaco and his family prepare to leave this place, we ask that you constantly keep them in your care. Make civilian life and the new career into which he is entering rewarding and gratifying. Make the transition for Paulette easy and enjoyable. Bless Frank and Jennifer in their new marriage and as they begin their career as an Army family. Bless Mike as he enters his final year at West Point. Bless Joe as he prepares to enter the Air Force Academy. And bless Jeff as he begins the new challenge of high school. Continue to make your presence abundantly evident to all of them as they follow their separate paths and as they stay connected as a family. Watch over them. Give them peace and joy every day of their lives. Give them long life and happiness. And remind them in great and small ways of your unconditional love for them every day. We ask all these things in the name of your Son. Amen.
Please be seated. Welcome to the retirement ceremony of Colonel Francis J. Monaco. When Colonel Monaco took over the position of DUM in 1993, he also took command of the United States Army Information Systems Command, West Point. The first event today will be a change of command ceremony. This unit is a subordinate organization of the United States Army Signal Command at Fort Huachuca, Arizona, commanded by Major General Charles G. Sutton. Major General Sutton could not be with us today, but has sent a personal note and an Army Signal Command coin to be presented on his behalf. Assisting with the presentation of this coin will be Colonel Joseph Cox. Colonel Cox is the ranking Signal Corps officer assigned to West Point.
Colonel Cox, Monaco, sir.
The note reads, Dear Colonel Monaco, congratulations on your completion of over 27 years of military service to our Army and our nation. Throughout these years of service, through peace and war, you have exemplified the extraordinary qualities which make our officers the finest in the world. Thank you for being an outstanding leader, teacher, and mentor to our soldiers. There is no better reward for your dedication than seeing the great success our soldiers have attained because of your efforts. We are a better Army today because of your service. Thank you for all you have done. I wish you continued success as you begin another chapter in your life. Signed sincerely, Charles G. Sutton, Jr., Major General, United States Army, Commander, United States Army Signal Command.
Frank, thank you for being a neighbor, and as someone who served 22 years in the Line and Signal Corps, before coming here to the faculty, I was more thankful than most that when the lightning struck and the trees fell down, I knew you were in charge to make things right, and I thank you for that. Thank you for your family. Thank you for being a friend. Best luck.
The history of this command dates to 1974, when it was known as the United States Army Communication Detachment, United States Military Academy. It has had many names and designations since. Today's ceremony may be its last change of command, for as effective 1 October, it is anticipated that the unit will be decommissioned with all assets reverting to West Point. The incoming commander and next due him is Colonel Kevin J. Cogan. Colonel Cogan is a 1971 graduate of the United States Military Academy, commissioned into the Signal Corps, with 26 years of distinguished service. His assignments have included various teaching and signal commands, teaching here at the Academy. He's had jobs in the program and product manager jobs within the Acquisition Corps. He holds advanced degrees in electrical engineering and is considered an expert in the Ada software language. On behalf of Colonel Monaco and Colonel Cogan and all the members of the DUM and Army Signal Activity West Point, we would like to present a bouquet of flowers to Mrs. Monaco to thank her for all her support, and to Mrs. Cogan to welcome her to the organization. The reviewing officer today for the change of command is Colonel Pat Kane, the West Point Garrison Commander. The senior non-commissioned officer participating in today's ceremony is Staff Sergeant Joyce Appleberry. The significance of the transfer of the colors is deeply rooted in military history. Since early time, leaders have used it as a visible sign of authority around which to rally. In the heat of battle, soldiers could not always see their commander, but a glimpse of the colors reassured the soldier that the commander was there to lead them. With the passing of the unit colors from the old to new commander comes the assumption of great responsibility. The new commander is responsible for the protection and growth of the spirit and the pride embodied in the unit colors. By authority of Army Regulation 600-20, the undersigned assumes command of the United States Army Signal Activity West Point, effective 15 July 1997. Signed, Kevin J. Cogan, Colonel, Signal Corps Commanding. Ladies and gentlemen, Colonel Kane.
General Chrisman, staff and faculty, friends and guests, good afternoon, everybody. This change of command you have just witnessed represents a passing of responsibility between Frank Monaco and Kevin Cogan. Kevin, a rousing welcome back to West Point to both you, Phyllis, and your family. You are coming at an exciting and important time, and your leadership will keep both the DUM and Information Systems Command smooth-running organizations. Frank, you have built a great team, and you'll leave your organization in great shape. Now, I know that this change of command is only for the U.S. Army Information Systems portion of your command. I think it's a tribute to you that you've woven a seamless organization where there is no organizational gap between the Signal Command folks and the rest of your DUM structure. You have your entire organization focused on just one thing: customer support. It doesn't matter what patch they wear, Frank. As you like to say, your customers are your credentials, and your organization truly reflects this. You have done a remarkable job. Now, I saw Frank as a true warrior. You saw an award from the Signal community, but I know Frank and recognize him as wearing field artillery brass. Frank had the ability to combine the warrior spirit with the understanding of technology and how to combine the two to help us run and make West Point a better organization. It's been a true pleasure having you at the helm of our garrison information operations. You've been a great team player in helping make West Point a better place to live and work. Good luck and Godspeed to both you and Paulette in your new adventures across the river. Thank you.
General Chrisman, Colonel Monaco, Mrs. Monaco, ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pleasure and a sense of deep responsibility that I assume command of the U.S. Army Signal Activity at West Point and as Director of Information Management. I wish to thank Colonel Monaco for his leadership and vision in the past years and for handing over to me a professional organization that he has done so much to nourish and build. This is not the first time that I follow in his footsteps, for in 1983, Colonel Monaco handed me stewardship of the Survey of Programming Languages course. Frank, I know you are a hard act to follow. I am privileged to succeed you once again, Frank, here at West Point, and pledge to do my utmost to continue the legacy that you have left me today. Indeed, today marks my third arrival here at West Point. Not only did I join the computer science faculty in the early 1980s, but exactly 30 years ago next week, my mother and father brought me here to the warm reception of the man in the red sash in New Cadet Barracks. I am very proud that my parents can be with me here today, for the very fact that because of them, I am here today. I wish them many more visits here during my tour of duty and thank them all for their support throughout my life. My wife Phyllis and our children are anxious once again to join the wonderful people of the West Point community. We look forward to renewing old friendships and new ones and supporting the common mission of training cadets. Finally, and most importantly, I wish to add my personal congratulations to Frank Monaco upon his retirement and wish him and Paulette Godspeed and much happiness in their future. Thank you.
Colonel Monaco will save his remarks to the conclusion of today's ceremony. This concludes the change of command For the retirement ceremony functions, I'd like to introduce the Adjutant General for West Point, Lieutenant Colonel David Bauer.
I'm not David Maurer. I'm Dan. And I'd like to welcome this great family to this wonderful day. This is a family day. We've got the Monaco family, we've got the Durham family, we have the Pace University family. Of all of those, I think the greatest by far in numbers certainly is the Monaco family. It seems as though half of Bridgeport, Connecticut is here, Frank, with you, your father, and your mother-in-law. Let me, first of all, make sure the audience understands which members of your family are here whom I'd like to acknowledge. Mr. Joe Monaco, Frank's father, is here. Joe, combat medic from World War II, stationed in France. Hua, Joe, welcome. Paulette Monaco's mother, Peggy Petrino from Bridgeport, Connecticut. Peggy, welcome. Good to have you here on this great day. And perhaps the greatest legacy, even more important than the superb organization that Frank leaves, are Frank and Paulette's wonderful 4 sons, who have been mentioned already, but let me just acknowledge their presence here. Frank, Mike, Joe, and Jeff, and Frank's new bride of 1 week, Jennifer. Good to have you all here. I mentioned the Pace University family. Dr. Patricia Ewers, seated here in the front row. Frank's new boss is present here with many of the vice presidents of Pace University. Patricia, great to have you here at West Point. And last but not least, although I'm going to talk about Frank and Paulette in just one moment, I want to acknowledge the presence here of the Directorate of Information Management, this wonderful family that's been at the forefront of the introduction and maintenance of information technology that's put this Major Army Command and this base at the forefront of the Army and the forefront of institutions of higher learning in connecting ourselves to the information highway and to make certain that the education and training of the cadets of this academy is done at the very, very highest standards. You have done that so well, Duham. I just want you to know in this great family day how much I appreciate your contributions to this community's important mission. Thanks very, very much. The source of all wisdom when you're talking about individuals about to retire is to go back to the Howitzer yearbook and extract from the yearbook those wonderful lines that were written often over a bar, frequently late at night when the submission deadline was prepared for the yearbook. But some truths, some phrases are so eternal and so lasting that they describe an individual perfectly. In the 70 Howitzer, Frank Monaco, an all-around good guy, always willing to help out. Now, isn't that descriptive of Monaco, colonel, commander, mentor, father, leader, educator? Frank, that is a superb little vignette to describe what you have meant to this institution and to America's Army. Having served 3 assignments here at the Military Academy, instructor, assistant professor, associate dean, and finally both as commander and as director of information management, to do those things I described here earlier, and to do them with such great energy and enthusiasm. Frank talks faster than the highest baud rate of the most complex computer we can ever envision. But he's always there when you need him, and he's always there ahead of the problem to bring to this institution of higher learning the very, very highest information support one can imagine. But Frank, you and Paulette, by being loyal members of this community, this family at the Military Academy, have meant so much to West Point as well, to the hundreds of cadets whom you have mentored through your sons and through your love through this institution. The loss will be profound. But I know, Patricia, it will be Pace's gain, it will be the institutions of higher learning's gain to gather under your umbrella the Monaco family and to continue this wonderful tradition of education and mentorship that you have meant here, Frank, to this community. So please take Frank and Paulette and your family the heartfelt and grateful appreciation for the entire West Point community and indeed from America's Army for what you have done during a critical period of this nation's history and of the Army's evolution in the wake of our Vietnam challenges to rebuild this institution and this Army to the very, very highest standards that one can conceive. And that's the result of the kind of dedication and commitment of soldiers like Colonel Frank Monaco and families like the Monaco family. Good luck to each of you, Frank and Paulette, and to your family. Godspeed in your future, and thanks so much for all that you've done for West Point, for our Army, and for our country. Thanks.
Attention to orders. By order of the Secretary of the Army, the Legion of Merit, 1st Oak Leaf Cluster, is presented to Colonel Francis J. Monaco. Colonel Monaco distinguished himself by exceptionally meritorious service throughout a career of 27 years of active military service in positions of increasing trust and responsibility, culminating as the Director of Information Management for the United States Military Academy and Commander of the United States Army Signal Command at West Point. His vision, drive, and leadership guided the Directorate of Information Management to be a true partner in the mission of producing leaders of character who serve our nation. Colonel Monaco's exemplary performance of duty is in keeping with the finest traditions of military service and reflects great credit on him, the United States Military Academy, and the United States Army. Signed, Togo D. West, Jr., Secretary of the Army. Please be seated. The retirement of Colonel Francis J. Monaco, Commander, Army Signal Command, West Point, and Director of Information Management at USMA, is announced with deepest regret, but with great appreciation for his long and distinguished career of over 27 years. Colonel Monaco was born on 24 June 1948 in New Haven, Connecticut, the first of 5 children of Joseph and the late Vincenza Monaco of Derby, Connecticut. After graduating from Notre Dame High School in West Haven, Connecticut, he attended the United States Military Academy and graduated in June 1970. Commissioned as a field artillery officer, his first assignment was the 82nd Airborne Division, Fort Bragg, North Carolina, where he served as a forward observer and executive officer for the 320th Airborne Field Artillery. During this assignment, Colonel Monaco was a test parachutist for the 82nd Division Artillery, pioneering steerable military jump and heavy drop operations from United States Air Force aircraft, including the C-5A Galaxy. After a one-year tour as an emergency actions officer with the United Nations Command, the United States Army in Seoul, Republic of Korea, he was reassigned to Fort Sill, Oklahoma, where he was promoted to captain in 1974 and completed the Field Artillery Advanced Course. He then returned to the 82nd Division Artillery and served as the fire support officer for the 1st Battalion Airborne 325th Infantry, followed by a command of 2 airborne field artillery batteries, A Battery, 1st Battalion Airborne 320th Field Artillery, and Headquarters and Service Battery, 1st Battalion Airborne 320th Field Artillery. His airborne firing battery was selected as the best battery, 82nd Airborne Division, Division Artillery in 1977. The second part of Colonel Monaco's career began when he attended graduate school for information and computer science at Georgia Institute of Technology in Atlanta. He was promoted promoted to major in 1981 while serving as a systems manager and instructor, Computer Graphics Laboratory, Department of Geography and Computer Science here at West Point. He managed the computer systems and research facilities used by the Academy's geography and computer science staff, faculty, and students. He became an assistant professor, computer science, and developed entirely new computer science courses in programming language design and compiler design, and taught computer operating systems, networking and communications, and computer hardware architectures. Before personal computer word processors were available, he authored and fielded to all students at West Point the first microcomputer-based text formatter ever used at USMA, FMT. He further pioneered microprocessor PC-based instruction at the Military Academy by teaching the first ever programming course on a microcomputer in 1982, eventually leading to all cadets being taught on and issued PCs. He was selected as the department's most outstanding instructor in 1983. He then attended the Command and General Staff College at Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. Colonel Monaco's next assignment was as the Chief Information Systems Branch, United States Army, Land Southeast, NATO, Izmir, Turkey. He managed the Automation and Management Information System, MIS, assets of the southeastern flank of NATO to include control of a multinational, multi-service automation, MIS branch. He fielded the first computer-based command and control information system in this area of NATO in 1985. From 1986 until 1990, Colonel Monaco was assigned as the first automation management officer of the newly formed 10th Mountain Division, Fort Drum, New York. He was promoted to lieutenant colonel in 1987. He fielded from scratch both tactical and office automation systems for the division's soldiers. From 1990 to 1992, he was assigned as the commander, United States Army Information Systems Command, Fort Drum, and Director of Information Management, where he was responsible for all aspects of information technology for the Army's newest and foremost model installation, including finishing the telecommunications infrastructure part of Fort Drum's unprecedented $1.5 billion construction expansion. From 1992 to 1994, Colonel Monaco was assigned as the Assistant Associate Dean for Academic Computing, Office of the Dean at USMA, where he was responsible for all aspects of information technology for the Corps of Cadets, as well as for the academic staff and faculty. He was promoted to colonel in 1993. While retaining his associate dean position until June 1994, he was also assigned as the Commander, United States Army Information Systems Command at West Point and Director of Information Management in June 1993. In this final assignment of his career, he managed an annual information technology budget for the Academy in excess of $14 million and helped develop one of the most comprehensive and heavily used information technology-enabled undergraduate infrastructures in the world. Committed to quality information, he focused the USMA information technology resources on a single goal: efficient and effective support for Academy efforts to enroll outstanding candidates, develop cadets, and provide the Army with information technology-enabled commissioned officers. During his tenure, he made significant contributions in a number of key areas: revitalizing the entire outside cable plant with fiber optic technology, launching the USMA World Wide Web and Internet presence and home pages, connecting of all USMA major activities to the enterprise network, standardizing electronic mail, voicemail, scheduling, and office automation across West Point, vastly improving cadet barracks network and Internet connectivity, migrating photography and videography to digital editing, initiating multimedia design and development with the Advanced Technology Classroom Laboratory, and forming a viable USMA information technology vision and goal, along with a living, working information management, customer service office, information technology support structure. His military awards and decorations include the Legion of Merit with First Oak Leaf Cluster, Defense Meritorious Service Medal, the Meritorious Service Medal, the Army Commendation Medal, Master Parachutist Badge, and the Ranger Tab. He is a graduate of the U.S. Army War College in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. He is married to the former Paulette Gail Petrino of Bridgeport, Connecticut. The Monacos have 4 sons: Second Lieutenant Francis J. Monaco, USMA 96, and his new bride Jennifer, now assigned to the 82nd Airborne Division at Fort Bragg. Cadet First Class Michael P. Monaco, USMA Class of 98. Joseph E. Monaco, who leaves for the United States Air Force Academy, Class of 2001 on 25 June. And Jeffrey A. Monaco, who enters high school at JFK High, Somers, New York this fall. the Monacos will reside in Carmel, New York. Colonel Monaco has accepted a position with Pace University, Westchester, New York City, as their first Vice President for Information Technology and Chief Information Officer. Colonel Monaco's many friends, colleagues, employees, and fellow soldiers join together on this day in wishing him the best of health and happiness in his well-earned retirement. Signed, Daniel W. Chrisman, Lieutenant General, U.S. Army Superintendent. Certificate of Appreciation. For service in the Armed Forces of the United States, I extend to you my personal thanks and sincere appreciation of our nation for your honorable service. You helped to maintain the security of the United States of America with a devotion to duty that is in keeping with the proud tradition of our armed forces. I honor your service and respect the commitment and loyalty you displayed over the years. My best wishes to you for happiness and success in the future. Signed, Bill Clinton, Commander-in-Chief. The Department of the Army Certificate of Appreciation is presented to Paulette Monaco. It certifies on the occasion of the retirement of her husband from active duty with the United States Army that she has earned grateful appreciation for her own unselfish, faithful, and devoted service. Her unfailing support and understanding helped to make possible her husband's lasting contributions to our nation. Signed, Dennis J. Reimer, General, United States Army, Chief of Staff.
General Chrisman, thank you for participating in this very important ceremony for my family and all the folks that are out there in the audience. I promise to keep this brief. I know it's hot out there in the sun. I didn't plan it this way. I should have thought about the time of the day, 3:30, where the sun would be. But it's at least it's cool and it's not raining. I can't tell you how much we admire the things that General Chrisman has been doing around West Point lately, and the single most compelling regret that I have about leaving the military is that I'm leaving his inspired leadership and the things that he's doing here at West Point. You've already been introduced to my family. I also have some brothers and sisters that are here. My brother Joe, my sisters Maria and Felicia, and their spouses are in the front row there. And some of their children. There's too many of them to name all, but welcome to West Point again. Special thanks to my classmates from the great West Point class of 1970. This is the 70 fountain area, and you can see the fountain is making that splashing noise behind you. It's donated from our class. That's why I chose this area. This whole patio back here is part of the 70 area of the AOG building, Association of Graduate Buildings. Some of those classmates, I think my old roommate is here somewhere, Dick Moser. I haven't seen him yet, but I think he's here. And I know that Colonels Albee, Forsyth, Jones, Lennox, Lane from the USMA staff, and AOG classmates Mike Mahan and Tommy Mertens. And also thanks to Dave Dinsmore, if he's here, from the West Point class of 70. I'd like to thank the members of USMA Garrison, and the DHPW, the DOL, the DCFA, and all the folks that we work with on a day-to-day basis, and the extended USMA community for attending the ceremony. Special thanks go to my tremendous co-workers at the Directorate of Information Management. The list of stars of this great organization could go on for days, but I will tell you that they're some of the best folks that I've ever worked with in my 27 years. I consider our directorate one of the finest organizations in the Department of Defense, period, and without question. It's dedicated to customers. It provides great service coupled with some of the greatest creativity and ingenuity available, and they are truly committed to quality information. I often use the story of one of my mentors, Major General Peter Boylan, who used to tell me about taking the message to Garcia. If you don't know about that, you will, okay? Garcia was lost somewhere in the woods, and the president needed to get a message to him, and rapidly. And he assigned it to one of his assistants named Rowan. Rowan took the message to Garcia, and he didn't ask, where the heck is Garcia? How do I get there? Who's going to pay me for this? How long is it going to take? I got other things to do. He just took the message to Garcia, and he delivered the message to Garcia. Now, there's the kind of guy and gal that we need in the U.S. military today. The folks that will take the message to Garcia. And the Durham folks can take the message. They know Garcia well, and they deliver it to him often. You're world class, and I want to salute the members of the Directorate of Information Management and thank them for their support. I had a tough time this morning at my last ceremony with them, and I thank you for everything. You represent the great Army family that I've served with throughout all 27 years. And as I told General Galloway when he promoted me to colonel a few years ago, the eagles I wear on my shoulders are not mine. They belong to every soldier, every civilian employee that I've ever served with that helped me get to be this rank. And I really appreciate that. I appreciate the folks from Pace University coming this way to witness this ceremony, and I look forward to having some great relationships and doing some fine things for you there in Pace. Thanks for coming, Dr. Heward. I'll remember these days for the rest of my life. You have to understand that. Now, just to set the stage here, I got to tell you a little bit about what it means to be retired. Okay, this is a little story here. One of the bravest of all of Napoleon's colonels. Okay, he won battle after battle, but this one particular battle, he got seriously injured, and he got hit in the head with a big old artillery round, and blew off top of his head, and his brains were laying out on the operating table, and the top of his head had been chopped off. So he's laying on the operating table, and Napoleon finds out about this, okay, and he's one of his best colonels. And so what is he going to do? Well, he dispatched an envoy to read him his retirement orders just before the man expires, before the old colonel dies, okay? Very critical to read him his retirement orders. There's something to do with the survivor benefit plan. So anyways, so they rushed to read him the retirement orders, and right after the retirement orders were read, the old colonel jumps up, grabs part of his head that was laying on the operating table and sticks it on his head and starts dashing out to do things that old retired colonels do. And the doctor says, wait a minute, you forgot your brains. And he says, I don't need them, I'm retired now. Anyways, okay. I'd like to stress the fact that this ceremony is the most important transition I've ever had to make, bar none. When my dad dropped me off here at 1966, the 1st of July, I remember something to the effect that don't worry about it, it's some kind of military school, you'll figure it out. And so that was at the old Arvin gym, and I've been trying to figure it out ever since. But even with a new job in hand, a new house purchased, children basically set up for next year, this has been difficult for me because I love the Army and I love West Point. Paulette and I have come to realize that it's time to leave the service and to leave the uniform. As I tell our employees at get-togethers, life is a series of events. Some of them are very basic events, some of them quite important events, and most of them very ordinary. Human nature makes us believe that things are always going to get better, somehow, miraculously. But I don't believe that. I think that the day-to-day life and the relationships that we make with our friends and with our employees is as good as it's going to get, all right? And these kind of ceremonies and going out with a buddy fishing, doing things like that, it doesn't get any better than that on this earth. And so I think that you have to enjoy the time that you have here. This is a fantastic place to serve, and we've enjoyed our time immensely. The transitions that my family's been going through here make me want to go take a stress test, okay? Getting my son married, retiring from the service, buying a new house, closing on our old house, kid graduated from high school, going to the Air Force Academy. Could have been worse. He could have gone to the Naval Academy. Big problems here. And Jeff going to high school. These are all major transitions, and I've just gone off the meter as far as stress goes. But somehow we're making it through it. Paulette and I are looking forward to moving across the Hudson River to Carmel. And at the back of the programs, we have our address and our phone number, and you're welcome to stop by as soon as the effective date becomes effective, the 18th of July. We're not moved until then. Okay, we're still here. I just want to talk about a few more things and wrap this up. When I was a young officer in the 82nd Airborne Division, I was too busy falling out of airplanes to seriously consider staying in the Army for any length of time. The 82nd is a busy place, as my son is finding out. He said, Dad, is this the way it is all the time? You haven't seen anything yet, Frank. You haven't seen anything yet. It gets busy and busier. Before we knew it, we had a few sons, and we found ourselves en route back to West Point to teach. Paulette and I enjoyed the adventures, the camaraderie, the great Army family throughout the years, and that's what kept us here. We love the Army and we love West Point. We consider ourselves extremely lucky to have been together for our 16 moves in 27 years. We moved 16 times, out lock, stock, and barrel. And we often talked about how great it would be if one of our sons ever grew up to decide to join the military as a career. We think that God has singularly blessed us with the two of them in the military academy. Frank already graduated, Mike in his senior year, and Joe headed out the Air Force. And we thank God for the wonderful blessings He's bestowed upon us. We're so proud of our sons that I got to tell you, it'd take a plastic surgeon to remove the smile from Paulette and my face, okay? And it's because of the wonderful kids that they are. I'm going to close here. The things I'll miss the most about the military are soldiers. Soldiers, especially airborne soldiers. I love soldiers and I cherish what they stand for. They have a can-do attitude and a spirit and an eagerness to do things for you. Without question, the first time, take the message to Garcia. I love soldiers and I'll miss them. The Army lifestyle. The Army is not a job, it's a lifestyle. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and I think you'd realize that. I'm going to miss the Army lifestyle. And as we progress and go further into our civilian careers, it's something I could look back with great fondness on. I'm going to miss military respect, both from below and rendered to those above. I enjoy military respect. I think it's important to have respect for people and subordinates as well as seniors. I'll miss military respect. Last, I'll miss the system, okay, the system. This is primarily for the challenge it creates for us, the employees, and for the soldiers. And I'll miss the system, but I'm sure that I'll find other systems out there in the real world. Durham, West Point, and West Point are in good hands with Lieutenant General Chrisman and all the major activity directors. You're blessed with a great leadership team and a great future. Colonel Kevin Cogan, my good friend, and the all-star cast at Durham, and Lieutenant Colonel Jim Kellett, who's made my transition from the military so great, my deputy. Durham will raise the bar and go to new heights that we haven't even dreamt about yet. And so I know that that'll happen. I urge you, especially younger soldiers in the audience, to consider 4 credos, and this is the end here, 4 credos that have served me well throughout the years. Number 1, keep a good sense of humor. Nothing in here is so important that you gotta, get all stressed out about. And you have to tell a joke now and then and keep a good sense of humor and keep things in perspective. And I thank General Chrisman for teaching me that. Attack and face problems head on. Don't try to beat around the side of the problems. They're going to come back and get you sooner or later. You might as well hit them up front, okay, and go straight at them and attack them head on. Third, treat people fairly. Treat everyone fairly. Judge people on how well they perform, not on anything else. And 4, keep your integrity intact. If you look behind you on the way out, the motto of my class is serve with integrity. And I hope that you continue to do that, those of you in uniform and the civilian employees here, because the government and the Army deserve nothing less. I'd like to thank my departed mother, who, among other things, taught me the value of all people and to be kind to people. I often tell the story of my mother getting people in that knock on a door being lost. And she would bring them in and feed them supper. And my father would come home and there would be no supper because she fed the strangers supper. That's the kind of woman she was. And I miss her. She taught me that, and she also gave me my sense of humor. My dad, who taught me respect, problem solving, hard work, and how to stay the course, no matter what. I'd like to thank my sons for being good kids and making us so proud. I thank God for giving me what little talent I have, and for our sons. Most importantly, though, through the 26 of our 27 years of the military, I thank my wife, Paulette. She's been by my side the whole time. We've never been separated for more than 3 months at any time during those 27 years. We were able to raise our sons together. She did most of the hard work quietly in the background, and I think you can see the results. I couldn't have done 27 years in the Army without the love, caring, and understanding of Paulette. My wife has dedicated her life to raising our family, and I couldn't be prouder of my sons or more thankful to her. Lisa? Where's Lisa? Okay. God bless you all. We'll miss each and every one of you in this place so much. After we play the Army song, I urge you to please help me enjoy some refreshments in the back room and some camaraderie and some friendship. Could you please stand for the playing of the Army song?